Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1054.
House Bill 1054 by Representatives Court and Janal, also Senator Merrifield, concerning end-of-life options for individuals with a terminal illness.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Upon the request of the sponsors, I move to lay over House Bill 1054 until June 1st.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, the bill will be laid over as requested. Okay. Seeing discussion, Representative Janal.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I brought this bill forward for many people who asked me for this option to end their suffering. Dr. Charlie Hatchett was one of my motivations. He was a primary care doctor in Fort Collins, dying of ALS, and wanted to make a video before he died for the chance to tell our committee that people should have a choice of how to end their lives when terminally ill. It took every ounce of his energy to do a 3-minute video. His determination and his wife's strength through the taping made me cry and realize the importance of this issue to so many people. I understood why he wanted this choice. Dr. Hatchett died 3 weeks later, just days before the bill was to come to committee in 2015. I lost my brother to a rare blood cancer last year. My active, athletic brother who's taught me how to climb mountains, how to ski, how to trek and backpack. His liver and spleen were so enlarged he couldn't sit or move without pain. He called me as the EMTs were taking him to the hospital, his last trip. And he said to me, he loved me, and how proud he was of me. And I knew this was the end, because my family doesn't say that very often. I spent his last 2 days with him in the hospital. He was in palliative care, deep sedation, but not out of pain. He winced in pain even when nurses gently repositioned him in the hospital bed. He opened his eyes just once, for 5 seconds, recognized me and said hi, and never opened his eyes again. I proudly sponsor this bill because I believe in taking government out of personal choice. Me and the majority of Colorado voters want every option, God forbid, we ever have to face a terminal illness. Terminal illness does not discriminate. It doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican, if you're male or female, if you're young or if you're old. But some of us have faced this alongside our loved ones who have passed. Some of us are facing it now, trying to bring peace to parents and to siblings who are suffering. And Colorado allows for palliative sedation. In the Supreme Court case of Vaco versus Quill, Justice Ginsburg asked the question, and I quote, "May I ask you then to train your attention on what has been described as the worst case? It's been called barbiturate coma. You render a person unconscious, you withdraw nutrition and water, and it goes on for days and days. And the person finally shrivels up and dies. And that, we're told, is permissible and goes on in hospitals in New York. How is that rationally distinguishable from a pill that will work?" Unquote. I ask all of you that same question. We permit people to die over days or weeks, but we won't permit them to self-administer a medication that will allow them to die within hours? I want to provide a different option. I want to empower people to decide how best to manage their life without being criminalized for making this very hard decision. My focus beginning today will be to do everything possible so there is no misconception among my colleagues, to make sure that every voice who supports this is heard. And I ask you, my colleagues, all of you, to listen to me, to listen to your constituents who want every freedom available to them at the end of their death, the time of their death. To those who testified, to those who are actively dying, and those who are not. I'm sorry that we could not help you. I'm sorry that our state legislature has failed you. We will continue to educate and to build support in your honor and in the honor of those who testified last year and those who are no longer with us. Thank you so much for your attention.
Representative Court.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am profoundly disappointed that we have gotten to this point. And I am profoundly disappointed in you, colleagues, because you have disappointed 65% of your constituents. 65% of Coloradans want this. This is a deeply personal decision. And we are denying 65% of Coloradans who want it the opportunity to make this decision. The choice we made today was to give you the relief from having to have this conversation because we know many of you have deeply held convictions that make you uncomfortable with this bill. So we are doing you this favor to not have this debate. But make no mistake, the voice of the people of this state will be heard. You will hear from your constituents one way or another. And this disappointment that Representative Jonell and I have for all those people who want this decision to be theirs, their personal choice at the end of their life to make this deeply, deeply personal decision without anyone else's interference, government or anyone else. Nobody wants to be in the position of having to make this decision, but there are those who know they are there or will be there, and they want this right. So you are not going to have this debate today, but we are profoundly disappointed that we have gotten to this point, and really make no mistake, Representative Jonell and I are committed to continuing this fight for all those people who want this choice, who know it should be their right. Thank you.
The motion before us is to lay over House Bill 1054 until June 1st, 2016. Are there any objections? Seeing none, House Bill 1054 will be laid over as requested by the Majority Leader.